Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Gittin, page 11, which discusses the notion of signing a document, specifically a divorce document, a get, and the fact that it was signed by non-Jewish witnesses is problematic because we only allow the laws of Gittin, of a divorce, to work and for it to be valid if the person who is writing and signing and is involved in the whole process is also in the laws of divorce. We do not require, according to Jewish law, someone who is non-Jewish to have to receive the same type of divorce document for them to separate from their spouse. And therefore, we really don't want them to sign these documents. Now, it's interesting. There is an opinion that says you don't even need to have any signatures on a divorce document. That's not really what's important. What is important is that when the divorce document is being given over to the woman, that there need to be witnesses that saw this entire thing transpire. But the issue is that if you have invalid signatures, then all of a sudden you may start relying on those invalid signatures. And if that's the case, you may say you don't even need any witnesses when it's being given over, which you do need, and then all of a sudden we come to a big problem because this was really not a valid get. Now it's interesting, it says over here that it matters the names of those non-Jewish people. If these are names that are clearly non-Jewish names, that Jewish people just do not have these names, so then in that situation, that's not going to be a problem if they sign it, because everyone's going to know they're non-Jews. We're not going to rely on those signatures, and therefore we're going to require this other step of having witnesses who saw it being the Edi Masira given over. However, in the event that the names are not necessarily non-Jewish names, Jewish people have them too, that's where it becomes a little problematic because we end up not knowing the status of who actually signed these documents. Now, it's very interesting over here, the Talmud says that in Israel, it was very different. In Israel, Jewish people were much more connected to having unique special names and not taking upon themselves the names of non-Jewish people. And therefore, because of that, in Israel, it's much more clear that if you would have a non-Jewish name, it must have been a non-Jew that signed it. And therefore, because of that, you're not going to end up making a mistake thinking maybe it was a Jew, maybe it wasn't a Jew. It's going to be clear it wasn't someone Jewish. However, when it comes to outside of Israel, a lot of people who are Jewish actually had non-Jewish names, which I would say is pretty similar to what's going on today in 2023. If you go to Israel, people who are Israeli, they have Israeli names. They have Jewish names, which a lot of them are specific and unique to being Jewish. If you venture outside of Israel, for example, the United States, which is almost equally as populated with Jews, we have a lot of Jewish people, including myself, that has an English name. So my English name, Brad, could easily belong to Brad Pitt. Could be someone who's not Jewish. So it's very interesting, just as an observation, because we know that one of the redeeming qualities when it came to the Jewish people in Egypt was they had their own unique clothing, they had their own unique language, and they also had their own unique names. What does that make them holier? No. But what it does, it gives them a sense of identity, that they're unique, that they're different. It separates them from everyone else. So if you think about the people in Israel, they, maybe not the dress is very westernized, but they speak a different language, and they also have the different names. And therefore, because of that, even a secular person, secular Jew in Israel, does have a certain connection to Judaism in which a secular person in the United States, for example, may not necessarily have, because that is the power of having a Jewish name.